He's a very young man who has made it this far. So we'll try to inquire from Sammy who he is. Does he have a political godfather? And once we're done with that, we know the United Nations just wrap up the 76th General Assembly meeting, which was attended by our own president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, where he actually delivered a speech about building Ghana beyond aid. He also advocated for adding Ghana to the G20 nations, to give Africa a seat at the table. That, in other words, to represent about the 1.3 billion citizens of Africa. We'll talk briefly about that as well, and we'll go into the economy. Climate change, the impact climate change is going to be having going forward on the hydrocarbon sales all across the world, and how countries are committing themselves to reduce their emissions. We'll talk about that briefly. Then we talk about economics, economic growth, debt management, and all that pertinent issues. The big one is going to be corruption, which we'll talk about close to the end of our conversations. But these are the topics I've tabled to discuss with Sammy Gyamfi. If you haven't already done so, please share the link. This program is being sponsored by World Remit, your number one and secure way to transfer money from the United States to Ghana or other parts of the world. Now, currently in Ghana, World Remit makes it possible to even transfer money from one person to another. So if you have children in school, wherever, you are able to transfer money using World Remit in Ghana. We are also being sponsored by UAO, which is the United Africa Organization. It's an organization that represents Africans living in the diaspora interest in the United States. In other words, represents the interest of Africans living in the diaspora. If you have any issues, whether immigrations, whatever your issues you're having, please reach out to UAO and you would get assistance for all your problems. Now, we are also sponsored by World Ghanamat. Ghanamat is providing sort of a micro supply chain services to all Ghanaians living overseas. So if you are here and you are interested in buying any product and sending to your family back at home, Ghanamat is the way to go. So let's share the link. Let me check my studio to see if Sammy is ready for our conversation, and we will get the program going. Again, my name is Alfred Amuzu, and you are watching the Ghana Agenda for September 25th. We will be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good.
Among the delegates, Tom Mboya, the 28-year-old trade union leader from Kenya, son of an illiterate.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama, really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT 1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT 1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. I don't know if all that I said was heard, because I find out my microphone was giving me a little problem, but just to go over quickly, we are talking to Sammy Gyamfi, who's going to be joining us shortly. Sammy, it's a lawyer by practice or by training. He's, to me, one of the best political communicators in Ghana. A very young man, attended Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, studied environmental science. And, I'm going to let him actually talk about himself briefly so that we can get to know him better. And then we'll talk about other topics. We'll talk about climate change because, of course, that is a big topic that was discussed at the United Nations, which just actually concluded its General Council meeting. And then we will talk about Ghana's economy. We'll look at, the impacts, the likely carbon reductions in carbon emissions is likely to have on our economy. And then we'll look at whether, we are growing as we thought we should be, whether the economy is heavily being impacted by COVID or the COVID is, not as impactful as we thought it was going to be. And Sammy will be helping us kind of explain all that and go into the details. We will also quickly look at debt management, what the NDC will do when they come into power, if they are lucky to do so, and other issues as far as NDC internal politics is concerned, their preparation towards 2024, etc., etc. If you haven't already done so, please share the link. We are being sponsored by 3 organizations, the UAO, which is a community that provides for the interests of Africans and Ghanaians, of course, living in the diaspora, and especially in the United States. And we're also sponsored by Ghanamat, your destination for buying products here in the United States in the comfort of your home and having them delivered to your loved ones and friends in Ghana. We would be right back, and I'm checking the studio to see if Sammy is ready to go so we can start a conversation. Please, if you haven't already done so, please share the link. This is going to be a very interesting conversation, and I want you to take part and also invite your friends to do so. We will be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois. Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back. I got a message. Sammy is ready to go. Regina is already joined us. She say, hi, Alfred. Hi, Regina. Thanks for watching. Please share the link so other friends can join. Black Jesus is with us. So I got the green light in the green room that our guest is ready for this conversation, and I am happy to go welcome him to the United States, introduce him to the program so we can start. So again, if you haven't already done so, please, for one last time, share the link because Sammy is waiting for us and we want to start the show. I only have a few people watching so far. I want that number to go up. So please, 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 please hit the share button so that the link can go out so that others can watch the program. Let me take one more commercial from our sponsors and get us ready to start the program. So please, 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 please share the link so that we can have more people watching the program. We would be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid health insurance program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, I can see the numbers climbing up. Welcome back to the Ghana Agenda. We have our guests in studio ready to go for this interview, and we are lucky to have all of you watching us, about some 183 so far. Please share the link, again, my name is Alfred Amuzu, and the Ghana Agenda is on every Saturday starting from 2 p.m. Without further ado, let me reach into the studio and bring our brother, Sammy Gyamfi, for the show to begin. All right. Welcome to the United States.
Thank you.
All right. What I wanted to do is, first of all, get my audience to get to know who Sammy Gyamfi is. Some of them, this may be the first time they're hearing your voice. So can you tell us who Sammy Gyamfi is, and how did you make it all the way this high? Because I know you're a very young man.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to be here. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And let me, first of all, greet all your cherished listeners and viewers. Sammy Gyamfi is a Ghanaian.
All right.
I'm a Christian, and I'm a young man who believes in the Ghana agenda.
Okay.
I believe that together as a people, we can work to transform our country into what we all yearn for. That is a country where there are jobs and opportunity for all, irrespective of their backgrounds. A community where there is progress and collective prosperity. A community where there is equality and equity. These are the things that motivate me, or that drive what I do in the political space. And so if you want to know who Sammy Gyamfi is, I'm a very simple, young Ghanaian who is passionate about these issues that I've mentioned: issues of development, issues of equity, issues of equality, issues of justice. And that is why I find myself in the National Democratic Congress, because that is the only mass political party in the Republic of Ghana that stands for these critical issues that I believe in.
Okay. So most people get into politics because they have a sponsor. Is there anybody you give credit to for where you are today?
No, there is no one person that I can say is my sponsor in politics, not at all. But throughout my political journey, or my, if you like, my work in politics, I've had different people at different stages of my life assisting me. When I started off, right when I entered the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, at the age of 18 in the Ashanti region, I was privileged to have gotten people like Joseph Yamin, Broja Gyamfi, Honorable Tel Abi, and the likes, who were very active in Ashanti NDC politics at the time, mentoring me and giving me the opportunity to speak for the party on various media platforms. That is where I began honing my my communication or political communication skills.
Okay.
Yeah, so from one position to the other, I played my role in the affairs of the intellectual wing of the NDC on KNUST campus, what we call TAIN KNUST. Right after school, when I started my national service, I was also privileged to have met a man like the then Deputy Regional Minister for the Bunahafo region. It was then one region, Honorable Eric Opoku, who also mentored me and gave me a lot of opportunities, to bring out what was in me. I later followed him to the Ashanti region. And in the Ashanti region, I had other people supporting me and giving me the opportunity to serve. People like my former boss, Honorable Kwejobonsu, who was the mayor of KMA at the time, making me his spokesperson and PRO and all that. Gave me a lot of experience in communication. Later on, when I went to the Ghana School of Law to do my professional law course, I was also fortunate to have met people who introduced me to the brother of a former President John Dramani Mahama, Ibrahim Mahama, who also gave me the opportunity to work with him as the communications director for one of his companies, Eston Cubic. So at different stages of my life, different people have been raised by, I believe, God to help and support me, And so I don't have a godfather. Right. I don't have a sponsor, but I have so many people who have assisted me in my political journey that I am grateful for. And the list is endless, So these are just a few of the people who have, supported me through my political career.
Okay. I mean, no wonder you're so good, because in coming into this interview, I was telling myself that I'm about to be speaking to the best political communicator in Ghana.
I'm flattered. Are you flattered? I don't think I am, but if you say so.
Well, you're doing fantastic, and when you speak, people listen, people react. So let's now go to. I wanted to do a little bit of foreign politics since we are in the United States and we are in New York, and we know this is at the back of the United Nations General Council's meeting. I heard the president give a speech yesterday, and he's still talking about building this Ghana Beyond Aid. And I find something very interesting, which I believe could be challenging for that effort going forward, which is the fact that all countries currently are, committing themselves to reducing carbon emissions. And so what that translates to is that they will reduce consumption of petroleum, which is something which has been supporting our GDP since 2011 when we went commercial. The European Union has actually started what they would call a climate border assessment mechanism, sort of a tax that will be imposed on countries that bring goods to their country that they believe that those countries use excess carbon in that production. But as a developing country, we don't want to be barred from developing our country just like the worst and the advanced countries did using carbon technology. So, do you also, like I think, that these type of conflicts that are likely to happen in the future in terms of carbon regulations is likely to retard our progress as a country, is likely to interfere or somehow lessen our ability to also rely on those same carbons, since we now have them in our country, to develop ourselves?
Well,
it's a long question.
Yeah, I'll try my best to answer that. Yes, there is an ongoing energy transition that seek to move the world from the consumption of fossil fuels, to other renewable sources of energy, because of the concern of global warming or the alarming rate of global climatic change. That is a reality that we cannot run away from. If we are going to be on this planet for long, then the sustainability of this planet should be a concern to all of us. And we should all behave in ways that sustains our environment and this planet. And the concern is that we are emitting too much hydrocarbons into the atmosphere, which is damaging. I don't want to go into the science of the ozone layer and all that, but the bottom line is that this obviously threatens the environment and the planet, as a whole. And so that will have to calm down. And all countries, including Ghana, must play their part in the efforts to reduce significantly the consumption and the emission of such hydrocarbons, which are toxic to the environment. And so the issue then is, how do we as a country position ourselves to ensure that we do not lose, too much resources through this energy transition, which, by the way, has been going on for some years now. We have a lot of hydrocarbons in the form of oil assets buried in the ground, some of which have already been discovered and proven, others are yet to be discovered. And so what this means is that we need to speed up our exploration, efforts. Not just the exploration effort, but the exploration and development of our oil resources. Okay? And that means that the state government itself must take a keen interest in the development of our oil resources. We cannot no longer sit on the fence, okay, and rely on the multinational players alone. You're aware that ExxonMobil checked out of the country not too long ago. It doesn't look too good for us relative to the ENI, projects as well, because these companies hail from countries which are cutting down their consumption of hydrocarbons significantly. And so what we need to do is to get strategic partners who are interested in the development of our oil assets and partner with them in a more significant way. Okay, we support the position that GMPC, or the government of Ghana through GMPC, should be a player, should be an operator in the upstream sector.
Right. I think that's why we formed Esploco as well.
Yeah. That is precisely the reason why we formed Esploco in 2015 under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, because we wanted to go into operation and maximize our stake, okay, in that important sector. Unfortunately, the myopic, inept, and incompetent Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government came to reverse what we had started, by giving away for free the stake that Esploco had in the HES blog, and the other blogs, the AGM blog as well. And so now
they reduced it, or they gave it all away for free?
They were entitled to a 10% in the HES blog, okay, which they gave it out for free, and later went for a 3%. In the AGM blog, they gave out a great amount of stake, away. Now, they've seen the sense in what we sought to do in 2015 now, and that is why they are seeking to make GMPC an operator through Esploco, which, by the way, they have, rendered redundant in the last 4.5 years. And so it is good. We need to get government of Ghana in there through GMPC Esploco to ensure that we take our destiny into our own hands and maximize our stake. Because if we do not drill that oil deposits buried under our waters within the shortest possible time, chances are that in the next 10 to 20 years, they will become stranded. They'll become stranded. But that is not to say that we should go for any deal at all, like they are seeking to do in the current ECA, AGM, a deal with GMPC, where they are seeking to acquire a 30% stake in the ECA blog and a 70% stake in the AGM blog. That deal is simply a bad deal because there is no value for money. we are simply paying much for something that costs far less. And the state is going to lose a lot of money if we do not ensure that there is value for money. And that is why our minority caucus, has come out with a statement that yes, in principle, we all support GNPC becoming an operator. We all support the government of Ghana through GNPC Exploko acquiring higher stakes in those oil blocks. But there should be value for money. We must pay the commercially, if you like, competitive price for those blocks. We cannot say that simply because we want to maximize our stake in those blocks, we are just going to pay any amounts, and shortchange.
To that effect, I think Parliament gave authorization to the minister to negotiate. Now, is that an authorization to actually reach a contract before coming back to Parliament, or just negotiate? And what exactly is the authorization Parliament gave?
My understanding, speaking to our ranking member for Energy, Honorable John Chinapo, and our ranking member for Finance, Honorable Lato Forsen, who have been working with other members of our caucus in Parliament very closely on this deal, is that Parliament only gave them a mandate approval. Okay. That what you are seeking to do by acquiring, a 37% stake in the ICA block and a 70% stake in the AGM block is good. You can go ahead and negotiate a deal. Okay. So they have been given the mandate to proceed with the negotiation. That is one. And they've been given a certain cap.
That's a 1.3.
They went with a $1.35 billion cap, but Parliament thought that was on a.
I think they went with a 1.6.
1.65 included $350 million as the CAPEX contribution of GNPC Exploko. Okay. So that one is not the purchase amount for the oil blocks. The cap that they took to Parliament as the purchase amount, if you like, ceiling for the two blocks was a 1.35 billion, which they were advised to reduce it down to 1.1. But that is not to say that 1.1 will be a fair market price for those oil blocks. I don't think that it should be anywhere close to that amount. If you look at how much ACA paid for those blocks and how much they have put in, okay. But clearly, we will have to do independent valuations of like the worth of those blocks, how much it was bought by ACA, how much they have invested in there. So far, what we have are their claims, unverified claims that we have spent so and so amount, which some civil society organizations have come out to dispute. We need to verify, okay, and confirm all those claims of ACA and ensure that at the end of the day, the purchase amounts, which will be agreed upon by government and presented to Parliament for approval, will be a fair market price, which will assure us as a people of value for money in that transaction. Once that is done, we won't have any problems. We won't have any qualms with the deal. I'm sure our side will participate in its approval. But if that is not done, if there is no value for money, if we have any legitimate cause to believe that the people of this country are being shortchanged because of a hyper-inflated deal, we will do everything in our power to kick against that.
Great. So while we are on that, I just want you to spend a few minutes to also clarify to my listeners and viewers what that whole unification directive was about, that was given to Eni and Victor about the Sankofa field and how they should unite it with Afini, etc. And now that issue is going to a tribunal. My understanding is Eni has taken Ghana to tribunal in London. Can you clarify what's happening with that for us?
Well, the matter is pending before a tribunal. I don't really know the facts and the cause of action that they believe they have against the other partners in the bloc. But we'll wait to see what will become of that case. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's turn to economy. The Ghanaian economy has taken a hit from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, currently it's been projected that by economic intelligence units that we would probably see about 3.9% average growth from now to 2025. We know Parliament suspended FRA, which is the limitations we place on ourselves as far as how much we are able to spend, or how much deficit we are able to carry. So if the NDC is lucky to come back into power in 2025, that FRA, suspension is going to get restored back. This is where, you're coming into power with a lot of unemployment, slow economic growth. You need to spend money in order to, get things back in order. Do you think the NDC is planning to apply, or as you were, to ask for an extension of the FRA suspension?
Well, that's a bridge we are yet to arrive at. I believe that when we get there, our finance people will advise the president and the government on the right, path to choose. And the Ghanaian people will be duly informed about that. Parliament will be informed about that. And if it requires a suspension of the Fiscal Responsibility Act for a certain duration, I'm sure that will be done. But it's still early days yet for one to anticipate what the financial situation will be in 2025, when I believe His Excellency President Mahama will be at the helm of affairs, in our country. But you see, our economy is currently bedeviled with a lot of challenges.
Okay.
And those challenges are not necessarily because of COVID-19.
Okay.
Those challenges are a product of the consistent mismanagement of the economy by the MPP Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration. That is what it is. Okay. It is not, COVID has become a convenient whipping boy, of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government, where they are blaming COVID for almost everything. But the truth of the matter is that before COVID, our economy was already in shambles. COVID only exposed and worsened.
Slow growth prior to COVID.
Exactly. COVID only exposed and worsened an already bad economy. Before COVID in 2019, growth rates for the construction subsector had declined from 8.4% in 2016 to negative 4.4%. Why? Because government is borrowing for consumption and not investing in capital expenditure, not investing in developmental projects that can create jobs, that can pay for itself, okay? And that can uplift the standard of living of Ghanaians. Before COVID in 2019, the manufacturing sector, which is a very important sector for emerging economies like ours, the growth rate for that sector had dwindled from 7.9% in 2016 to 6.5%. The financial sector growth rate had declined from 8% in 2016 to 1.3% in 2019. And I can go on and on and on, okay?
And that's because you say they are spending money on consumption.
Exactly, and not investing in the productive sectors of the economy, which can propel real sustainable growth. Okay, because your growth rates per se may be deceptive. You can be growing, but that growth can be a convoluted jobless growth, because you may be growing in sectors that do not employ the people of this country. So, for example, if your growth is accounted for by growth in the hydrocarbons sector, how many Ghanaians are employed in that sector? And so how will Ghanaians benefit from that growth? That becomes a useless, jobless growth. You understand? And that is the growth rate we saw in the year 2017 when they took office. Because in 2016...
2017 actually saw the highest growth so far. And I think the NDC says that it's all because of...
But I'm saying that growth was largely accounted for by oil, because we had discovered 2 new oil fields which had come on stream. Okay, we, the Mills administration, the Kufuor administration, the Mahama administrations all benefited from one oil field, the Jubilee fields. But as a result of our strategic investments in that sector, by the time we were leaving office in 2016, we had discovered and started the development of 2 additional oil fields, the 10 and Sankofa fields. Okay, and the projection was that commercial production was going to start in 2017. And so President Mahama predicted way back in 2016 that growth was going to increase to about 8% in 2017. And the World Bank, the IMF, and the Economic Intelligence Unit all confirmed that. And so when they came in and we recorded a growth rate of 7-8%, it was just as President Mahama had predicted, based on the solid foundation he had laid, based on the work we had done, based on the fact that they now had 3 oil fields, whereas we had only 1 oil field. Now, don't also forget that in 2016, we had a technical problem with the FPSO in Nkrumah, which is what we use, to produce oil, in the Jubilee fields. In fact, the turret bearing of the FPSO got damaged. And so for the greater part of 2016, we were not able to produce oil. And that is why overall growth for the year 2016 dropped to as low as about 3.6%, even though non-oil growth was about 4.6%. The overall came to 3.6 because that sector, the oil and gas sector, saw a negative growth of about negative 15.6%. A negative growth because we're not producing the oil, okay, as a result of a technical problem that we are an act of God. And it could have happened to any government. It was not the creation of President Mahama or anybody in the NDC. Now they came, at the time they came, we had solved that problem. So that technical problem was not there. Dumso had been solved, okay? And in addition to that, we had given them the Atuabo gas processing plants, which produces gas to power, turbines and power plants like Car Power, Mary, all of which were brought into the country by President Mahama to deal with the Dumso situation. And so that the economy we handed over to them was an economy without Dumso, an economy with not just 1 oil field, which was operating below optimum capacity as a result of a technical hitch. But we handed over to them 3 oil fields, which were all operational. And not just that, we handed over to them the Ghana Investment Infrastructure Fund, which had about $200 million in it for strategic infrastructure development for the country, set up by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Funded by? How were you funded? There was
a certain percentage of tax revenue, exactly, was going in there. Okay. Now, we also had the Exim Bank facility, which was supposed to, which is meant to support trade and commerce, particularly those who produce in Ghana for exports, with a lot of money in there. So we gave them an economy. We handed over to them an economy without Dumso, an economy with 3 oil fields, okay, an economy with a Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, an economy with an Exim Bank, an economy with a sinking fund of $550 million for the payment of the first Euro bond, which was procured by the Kufuor administration. They took office, and they've been the luckiest government in the history of this country. They borrowed more than any government in the history of this country. In the last 4.5 years alone, they've added a whopping 216 billion Ghana cedis to our public debt stock. Because from Kwame Nkrumah to President Mahama, at the time we were leaving office, the public debt stock stood at 120 billion.
right. That is after Kufuor's
HIPIC, where we're forgiving about $5.4 billion. It came to 120 billion, which they bastardized us and berated President Mahama for and said we're incompetent and all that. And exactly, they said, TC welcome day and the money is here and all that. Now, people expected that when they assumed office, they were going to reduce the rate of borrowing. But what we have seen is a reckless pension. In fact, an unbridled pension for borrowing, like never seen in the history of this country, where in only 4.5 years, whereas they came to meet a public debt stock of 120 billion, they've increased it to over 336 billion, adding over 216 billion. Okay. Now, what that means is that today, we have been saddled with too much debt, that its servicing has even become a burden for our economy, because we are spending almost all our tax revenue, over 90% of our tax revenue, on interest payment alone. Not even amortization of the principal, but interest on our debt alone consumes more than 90% of our tax revenue. Okay. Now, even if you take total revenue, that is tax revenue plus revenue from oil, from gold, from cocoa, every revenue that government projects to get for the year 2021, the fiscal year 2021, we're spending more than 95% of that on just two items. Interest payments and compensation. That's the wages and salary of public sector workers. And so after we deduct the wages and salaries of public sector workers from our total revenue, not tax revenue. Because for tax revenue, interest payment alone consumes it. Okay. And we also deduct interest payment from our total revenue. We are left with basically nothing. So now we borrow to get money for our statutory funds, that is Get Fund, Common Fund. We borrow to get money for that. And the Common Fund has been in arrears for so many months now. And because of that, it is affecting or slowing down economic activity, okay, and the rate of development at the local level. Apart from that, we borrow for even goods and services. That is money for the running of government's business. What they use to buy fuel, what they use to buy paper, pen, to run the ministries and government agencies. We borrow money for all that. We borrow money for capital expenditure, that is money for roads, school. We borrow for almost everything. We don't have an economy. The economy is broke. Okay? That is the situation we find ourselves in. And I'm saying that situation is not the creation of COVID. It is the creation of this government. They are reckless and unbridled penchant for borrowing and spending those borrowed funds on consumption. Take, for example, the Mahama administration, which borrowed just about 56 billion Ghana cedis. You can see physical, significant, tangible projects that we invested these borrowed funds in there. Self-financing projects. Projects that create jobs, that create values, okay, that improves the livelihoods and the standard of living of Ghanaians. So you can talk about the Kaswa interchange, the Circle, Dubai interchange, the Ridge Hospital, the host of hospitals, the whole airport. And so you struggle with delivering two bridges or two overflights. There's the Circle one and the Kaswa one. That they've done, No. Right. We built Kwame Nkrumah interchange. Okay. President Mahama did that. Right. We built the Kaswa interchange. We secured funding for the Pukwasi interchange. Yeah. Parliament approved that funding. They came and met it. We had already executed an agreement. The contractor was on site before they came. And so that is another Mahama legacy. The Obechebe Lamte, we secured parliamentary approval for that in November 2016. Did all the drawings, executed the agreements. The contractor was on site before we left office. It's the same for the Tema flyover. So all these projects that they are desperately trying to claim are all part of the Mahama legacy. The only interchange President Akufo-Addo promised to build, which he has started, is the Tamale interchange, which, by the way, has stalled for a couple of months now. That is what they should focus on completing so that they can take credit for. But Obechebi, Pukwase, Tema are all the legacies of none other than His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. But so that I don't digress, let me go back to the point I'm making, that we borrow so much that we are spending almost all of our tax revenue on servicing that debt alone. We are spending almost our entire total revenue on compensation and interest payments alone. And we are left with nothing for the development of the country and the running of government business. That is the dire economic stress, the unsustainable debt hole that this reckless administration has plunged the country into. Today, when you divide the total public debt stock by the population of Ghana, which is 30 million, every Ghanaian, including a child who was giving birth to today, owes over 11,000 Ghana cedis. That is 110 million old Ghana cedis. And the question is, what do they have to show for this unprecedented borrowing? Do they have new secondary schools to show for? President Mahama has 124 e-blocks to show for his borrowing. At least he fully completed 46 with 30 others at different levels of completion. President Mahama has a plethora of hospitals scattered across the length and breadth of Ghana to show for his borrowing. He has the whole airport to show for his borrowing. The Kumasi Airport, the KGTR market, the Kochukraba market. I mean, a host of projects which have created sustainable jobs for the people of this country, and projects which are even paying for themselves. Okay, If you look at how we even strengthen state agencies under us, parastatals, to borrow on the strength of their own financials for critical investments, like the NPS Thermoport project, which today has made a Thermoport the biggest port in the whole of West Africa. It used to be Lagos, which had the biggest port. Today, Ghana boasts of the biggest port because of that NPS terminal that we built. Without the government of Ghana spending a penny on, we had to strengthen the Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority under the leadership of President Mahama to do that. And that has created thousands and thousands of sustainable jobs for Ghanaians. Look at Terminal 3, which is now by far the best airport in the whole of West Africa. We built that without central government investing anything in there because we strengthened the Ghana Airport Company Limited by allowing them to retain a large chunk of the IGF, which they should have been paying to the central government. President Mahama allowed them to retain that to improve their financial books.
So IGF meaning internally generated.
Exactly, and that is how come they were able to borrow on the strength of their own financial books for the Terminal 3 project, which, by the way, is already paying for itself and has created a lot of jobs. These are just two. The Maritime Hospital, started by President Mills, completed by President Mahama, the Bank of Ghana Hospital, are all examples of how innovative the NDC is when it comes to developmental projects. Even when central government is not borrowing, we find a way of strengthening parastatals and independent state institutions to undertake these critical investments that creates jobs and that develops the country and improves the standard of living of Ghanaians. Now, this is what we did with just about 56 billion Ghana cedis, which we borrowed. They've added quadruple of what we added to the public debt. 216 billion and still counting. They don't have one secondary school to show for that because they've not built one secondary school in the last 4.5 years for the people of this country. It's so sad. They've not built even a hospital, a single hospital. Yet they promised one district, one hospital in their 2016 manifesto. They've not built a single university. Yet President Mills can boast of 2 universities in 4 years. The University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region and the University of Energy and Natural Resources, UNER, in Sunyani. President Mahama can also boast of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development, which we started in the Eastern region. Okay, they cannot boast of one single university. They cannot boast of one single airport. President Mahama can boast of the Wa airstrip, the whole airport, and so on. We did that. We did the rehabilitation. We did the phase 1. They are only completing the project. They are completing phase 2 because they came to meet, phase 1 already done. And so phase 2 is just a completion of phase 1, the continuation of phase 1, which President Mahama conceived and started. Okay, and in fact, they berated him and insulted him and lied against him relative to that project and all that. But today, they have very little to show for. So what am I telling you? What I'm telling you is that all is not well with our economy. We find ourselves in an unsustainable debt hole because of their reckless borrowing today. And the sad thing in all this is that whereas future generations are being saddled with debts that they will have to cough up money to pay in the future, this government is not bequeathing to them any significant developmental projects that can pay for these debts.
Why do we have all this?
Their pension for consumption, corruption, and profligacy. Whereas we prioritize, you see, it's all about priorities. President Mahama is today called a nation builder by a lot of Ghanaians because he prioritized investments in developmental projects. And his record is there for everybody to see in every region of the country and in every sector. Okay, now they rather prioritize consumption. So the freebies, free this, free that, that is what they spent their borrowed funds on, number 1. Number 2, profligacy. Look at the difficulties the people of Ghana are going through today. My brother, today you go to our hospitals and you see children, women, pregnant women, sleeping on bare floors. You know why? Because there are no beds. The no bed syndrome is on the ascendancy because this government is not investing in the expansion of health infrastructure. You go to our communities today and a lot of Ghanaians don't have access to potable water, potable drinking water. Okay? You go to most of our communities today and everywhere, even in the city of Accra, go and check the deplorable state of our roads. Check the state of our education. Today, our educational system is in shambles. because we are not investing in education. School children are not getting access to textbooks, even at the basic level. It's been 2 years since a new curriculum was introduced, and yet, till date, teachers don't have the approved GES textbooks to teach the children in our basic schools based on the new curriculum. The situation is not different at the senior high level. In fact, today, when you go to our secondary schools, they are confronted with a serious spatial, constraint. That is what has accounted for double track, because this government is not building new schools and they are not expanding existing infrastructure the way they should. And so, no, which is just a slogan as we speak. No, Agenda 111 is just a slogan, just like they promise to do one district, one hospital, or one village, one dam, or $1 million per constituency every year, or one district, one factory. It is a slogan. They specialize in cheap political rhetorics and sloganeering. But when it comes to real delivery, they are always found wanting. And so the point is, we prioritize investments in the productive sectors of the economy, investments in developmental projects that create jobs, that creates value for the economy, that propels economic growth and improve the livelihoods of Ghanaians, like I've said. They prioritize consumption and profligacy because, like I'm saying, in spite of all these challenges that Ghanaians are going through, in the midst of this crisis, President Akufo-Addo chooses President Akufo-Addo. And in fact, he has increased he's introduced a raft of 6 new taxes. Boiler tax on every liter of diesel and petrol. ESLA, which they describe as a nuisance tax when they were in opposition and promised to scrap. Today, they've increased it by 27%, and they've increased it again in 2021 in this time of COVID, where businesses are suffocating because of the debilitating effect of COVID-19. They've introduced a COVID levy. Can you imagine? A COVID levy, 1% on VAT, 1% on NHIL. No, NHIL every Ghanaian pays. It's an indirect tax. So NHIL used to be 2.5%, now it is 3.5%. Anything you buy in Ghana, you pay. VAT, flat rates, from 3% to 4%. Now, all that has conspired to increase the prices of general goods and services astronomically. And Ghanaians are suffering. People are not getting jobs because they are not investing in sectors that can create jobs. And yet the president chooses to live an opulent, ostentatious lifestyle like an Arabian king in this time of COVID-19, in this time of crisis, when he's telling Ghanaians to burden share, when he's telling Ghanaians to tighten their belts, he chooses to travel in rented, luxurious private jets. When he went to France, Belgium, and South Africa a few months ago, instead of traveling with the Falcon 900, which is our state presidential jet, bought by the taxpayers of Ghana under the Akufo administration at a price of $45 million, a state asset. Instead of using that, he went for the Airbus ACJ 320 Neo, which cost the taxpayers of Ghana $20,000, 15,000 pounds, equivalent to $20,000 per hour. We spent over 3.4 million Ghana cedis on that trip alone. As if that was not enough, he rented Boeing 737, which cost the taxpayer $14,000 every hour. Even when the aircraft is packed, that is how much we pay every hour. $14,000 when he went to the United Kingdom and other European countries in recent time. As we speak, he's in the United Kingdom for the UN General Assembly Council. Yes, and he came with the Boeing 737, which is parked somewhere in Houston, Texas, and which cost the taxpayers of Ghana, who are suffering because there are no jobs, suffering because some cannot even afford a 3-square meal. Today, you go and check the prices of fuel. From 16 Ghana cedis per gallon in 2016, a gallon of petrol and diesel is now selling at about 30 Ghana cedis in Ghana. Check the prices of building materials, because I know that the Ghanaians in the diaspora all aspire to go home one day and build. Okay? Today, a bag of cement, which used to sell at 27 Ghana cedis, in 2016, is now selling at 58 Ghana cedis in Ghana. 58, more than 100% increment. Check other African countries, it is not so. Why is it so in Ghana? High taxes. High taxes, even in the midst of COVID-19. Yet in the midst of this same COVID-19, he has increased allocation to his office of government machinery, from 79 million Ghana cedis in 2017 to 892 million Ghana cedis, over 900% increment in consumption. Okay? Even in this midst of COVID-19, where he's telling us to tighten our belts, he's living like an Arabian king, a Russian oligarch, traveling in luxurious presidential jets. Labour has only been given an increase of 4% in their wages and salaries. 4%. Yet check the astronomical increment in prices. Okay, and yet our president chooses to live an opulent, ostentatious, wasteful lifestyle. What would he have lost if he had come to the New York, or if he had gone to the United Kingdom with the Falcon 900, which is in pristine condition? There is no problem with it. The information we even have is that the president of Liberia, George Oponwia, has traveled on 2 occasions in the last week alone with our presidential jets. Yes. So President Akufo-Addo has now turned our Falcon 900, which, by the way, is one of the most comfortable and luxurious private jets you can get. He's turned it into a trotro for his friends, other African leaders, because of his, insatiable taste for luxury. He wants to shower in the skies. He wants to fulfill his childhood fantasies of chill. This man is not governing, he's chilling. Okay? He doesn't care about the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian who is crying, fix the country, fix the country. We want jobs, we want equal opportunities. No, they will have nothing like that. Look, they are all in New York as head of states, right? The Zambia president flew to New York. In fact, the Namibia president flew commercial. In Qatar Airways. We're just a delegation of 3 people. And the Zambia president flew in their own state presidential aircraft, okay? Which, by the way, it's a Falcon 900 just like ours, but was bought 19 years before ours, in 1991. So it's very old. Yet that is what the president flew into, because these are presidents who care about their countries, they care about their people, they are sensitive to the plight of their people, they are sensitive to the times we are in. So you cannot be blaming COVID for economic woes and yet be living large, be living luxury, be living like an Arabian king. And when we are complaining that we are suffering, you blame it on COVID. Why? Before COVID, had you given us any sustainable jobs that...
Get the impacts that other countries like the United States...
Not at all. Look. In 2019 before COVID, tax revenue stood at about 43 million Ghana cedis. That was how much we were able to collect in 2019 before COVID. So in 2020, we projected to record a total tax revenue of about 47 million. That was what we projected to mobilize for the 2020 fiscal year. Now, because of COVID, we only achieved 45.2 million. So look at the reduction, very insignificant, from 47 to 45.2. Right. And that 45.2 million we got in 2020 was more than what we got in 2019 before COVID. Right. So in that COVID year, we got more tax revenue than what we got in 2019 when there was no COVID. So what are you talking about? Google. Right. Ghana Revenue Authority said they achieved their revenue target for 2019. It was that, which was around 43 million. In 2020, we got 45.2 million, far more than what we got in 2019, which is almost the same, and which is the money, the tax revenue they got in 2020 in that year of COVID alone, is just about the entire tax revenue that President Mahama got in 4 years. What they got in 1 year, COVID year, is almost the same as what President Mahama had in 4 years. They've had 60% of our oil revenue because they've had 3 oil fields. No government has had the benefit of 3 oil fields. You've had Ghana Investment Infrastructure Fund, Exim Bank. You've had $2 billion from the IMF. We just benefited from just about 900 million, part of which was even released, the last tranche was even released when you took office and when you extended the facility. We got just about 900 million. You have gotten 2 billion. Because when COVID struck in 2020, You were given a rapid credit facility of $1 billion by the IMF and a grant of $100 million by the World Bank. We were also given, recently, 2021, a few weeks ago, another $1 billion, which we can draw down and which they have indicated they will be drawing down to support the budget.
Yeah,
okay.
It's because they are managing the economy so good.
No, they said they were not going to go to the IMF, but today they've run to the IMF because our economy is crumbling.
The IMF actually increased the SDR allocations for every country.
But not every country, even in Africa, is drawing down on that facility. Not every country. Now, if you check economies like Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, they are doing far better than we are doing. Because when they were hit by COVID, they adopted austerity measures. Yes, they invested in COVID control programs. I mean, programs targeted at reducing the spread of the virus, and even supported, their citizens. Now, if you check a country like Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, they only recorded a budget deficit in 2020 of about 5%. None of them went beyond 5%. 11, unprecedented. The worst fiscal deficit we have ever recorded in the 30-year history of this country. What that simply means is that we were reckless in our expenditure as a country. And you know why they were reckless? Because they wanted to win power at all costs. So free this, free that. It was an election season. So they wasted a lot of resources on vote buying. And at the end of the day, destroyed the economy. That is why they have had to introduce new taxes to plug the huge hole which has been created in the economy because of that deficit. Because the deficit will have to be financed. You spent more than what you have. And so you need to find the revenue to pay for that. And so the hardships we are going through today is as a result of their crass mismanagement. Borrowing to finance consumption and profligacy, and borrowing to finance corruption. And I hope we get time to talk about corruption and how they are wasting the taxpayers' money on corruption, even in this so-called fights against COVID-19.
Yeah, let's talk about corruption. But before we do that, in 2025, should the NDC be lucky to come back into office? There's 260, billions that you have to pay back. Of course, you don't have to pay it all back, but how are you going to deal with that debt repayment situation? Because it's going to be on the book. I know they said they were going to get $5 billion this year. They've gone for 3 already. In November, they are planning to go for the rest. And that is not the end. There's 2022 programs of borrowings that they're going to do. 2023. How would the new NDC government deal with this?
Well, it's going to be a difficult and very challenging situation that we'll be confronted with. No two ways about that. Right. So it will require a lot of thinking outside the box, right, a lot of innovativeness. And that is why if you check our People's Manifesto, we indicated some of the things we're going to do. We spoke about investing in capital expenditure through the Big Push policy, which was going to require a $10 billion investment. We spoke about, and create a lot of jobs. We spoke about creating 1 million jobs through a national apprenticeship program, and so on and so forth. But the issue is, where are you going to get the money to do all these things when your fiscal space has been totally encumbered, totally eroded? You don't have any fiscal space left. All the monies you are generating, everything is going into debt servicing and salaries of public sector workers. And so it's going to require a lot of thinking outside the box. And the first thing that I know the NDC Mahama administration will do when given the opportunity in 2025 will be to strengthen parastatals and other state institutions financially to be able to borrow for strategic developmental projects on the back of their own financial books. Like I explained earlier, we did so in the case of the NPS ports, which cost billions of dollars. We supported the Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority to do that. It's the same way we did Terminal 3 by supporting the Ghana Airport Company, allowing them to retain the entire IGF, to improve their financial books so that they could be in a better place to borrow for that self-financing project. We did so with the Maritime Hospital, the Bank of Ghana Hospital, and even the University of Ghana Medical Center, which is a quaternary hospital. First of its kind in the whole of West Africa. That is what visionary leadership is about. Exactly, quaternary. That's what visionary leadership is about. And that is why we call President Mahama the nation builder, the visionary nation builder. And so we are going to adopt that model again. And through that, we are going to undertake a lot of developmental projects without central government itself not having to borrow. Again, we will have to, if you like, speed up, like I said, right from the outset, the development of our oil assets, our hydrocarbon assets, because the projection is that if we are able to develop the acre, especially the Pecan block, we can increase our production capacity from the just about 100,000 barrels per day we are doing currently to our 500,000 barrels per day. And that is going to increase oil revenue astronomically. But we need to be very strategic and quick about that because of the ongoing energy transition that we have already discussed. And if we do that, we can maximize oil revenue for developmental projects. Aside that, we'll have to grow the economy. We'll have to grow the economy. Okay, because debt sustainability, one of the ways of measuring debt sustainability is debt to GDP. Okay, so if your debt is so high, debt and your GDP is so small, like we have now, where debt to GDP is around 80%, the way out is to grow the economy. As you expand the economy, you expand your GDP, which is your wealth, then debt to GDP can come down to free you some space to borrow more. Okay? So you will have to invest in the productive sectors of the economy and grow the economy. And we will have to do that in ways that create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth of the country, because that is the most critical challenge facing the country today. And President Mahama is really, really passionate about that. Now, if we also cut down, and even before I talk about cutting down on waste and corruption, profligacy, let me talk about expanding the tax net, which was also captured in our People's Manifesto, because then you need to mobilize more revenue. Currently, we're doing 45 million Ghana cedis, and we are spending that, about 90% of that, on interest payment alone. Do we have the capacity to do 100 million without necessarily increasing taxes on the already overburdened formal sector? Absolutely yes, because there are still millions of Ghanaians in the informal sector who do not pay taxes. And if we are able to expand the tax net, not increase or introduce new taxes, okay, but expand the tax net through efficient, means, by deploying the right technologies, like it is done in advanced jurisdictions like the United States of America, we will be able to maximize tax revenue. And then finally, tax revenue for development. And then finally, if we cut down on corruption, profligacy, if our presidents will cut their coats according to the size of their cloth, if they are going to live within our means as a country, not travel in rented, luxurious private jets that cost the country $20,000, $14,000 per hour when we have a presidential jet available. If we cut such useless expenditures, reduce allocations to the Office of Government Machinery, which is consumption, it doesn't add any value to the economy, it doesn't create jobs, okay? If we cut down on corruption, we are going to save the country a lot of millions, which can go into the creation of jobs and other meaningful ventures that will benefit the people of this country. Look at how much we lost through the PDS scandal alone. I want us to take a break, but come back and talk about corruption. Yeah. And I want to, because I listened to your last press statement, and I have a lot of questions in that area. And so let's take a quick break so you can get some water to drink. Sure. When we come back, we talk about corruption.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama. Really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663. Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
About corruption and what the NDC is going to do about this. I know there are so many promises to investigate the GAT. Is it GAT or GTA, which was part of the banking cleanup process? You've started this process, but you think this government bungled it. And I've also heard you the other day release a press conference, or at your press conference, showing graphics after graphic where the MPP has been caught in one way or the other, either attempting to, take over some state assets in the case of Japa or other corruption scandals. What is the state of anti-corruption in Ghana? Has the battle been lost?
I think the answer to that question is a big yes. Yeah. The fight against corruption has been totally lost under the watch of President Akufo-Addo and his Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. Okay. You see, I'm very passionate about the subject of corruption because it is the bane of Ghana's development. Right. The reason why majority of our people are wallowing in squalor and abject poverty. The reason why majority of our people continue to remain hewers of wood and drawers of water is because of the canker of corruption in our country. Where monies we should go into the provision of potable drinking water, the construction of schools and roads, the construction of airports, health facilities, hospitals, are pocketed by a few selfish and greedy politicians. And the laws don't work because the laws are not enforced by those in leadership, who, in most cases, like it is happening now under President Akufo-Addo, are beneficiaries of those corrupt acts. Beneficiaries, promoters, and sponsors of those corrupt acts. That is our bane. And until we get that fight against corruption right, we will never be able to restore Ghana to the place it has to be. We will not be able to develop this country because where are you going to get the money from? Where all government projects are hyper-inflated, people are taking their percentages and their gigs, and there is no value for money, there is shoddy work all over the place. How are you going to develop Ghana that way? Where people think about themselves and their families alone. And that is why it behoves on every leader who is elected by the people into that key position of president to fight corruption. You cannot eliminate corruption. Corruption will happen. Like Kofo said, corruption is as old as Adam. What you do about it is what matters. How you fight it, how you handle corrupt acts is what matters. And what is expected of leaders is the political will to punish corrupt acts, no matter whose ox is God. So it will happen, but let transparent investigations go on. Let the findings be published for all to see, and let those found culpable face the music. That is the only way you can achieve the needed deterrence to discourage corruption and reduce the incidence of corruption and the huge financial losses that it occasions us as a country. Now, this government, the Akufo-Addo MPP Bawumia government, rode on the back of an anti-corruption campaign into office. You recall how the promise to protect the public purse when elected, fight corruption head on. President Akufo-Addo said that at his age, he was not interested in amassing wealth, but only making a name by serving his people. And so many were those who had confidence that he was going to fight corruption and gave him the opportunity. But what have we seen in the last 4.5 years since he took office? We've seen corruption on another level, wholesale corruption. broad daylight thievery of state resources by MPP government officials, including the president, who are grabbing, stealing with their left and their right like there is no tomorrow. Okay? We are seeing people amassing wealth at a very alarming rate. And we are seeing the president who was said to be incorruptible, who promised to protect the public purse. We've seen him acting as a corruption clearing agent. That is why his own bosom friend, the former special prosecutor Martin Amido, described him in the Ejapa matter as a mother serpent of corruption, because he is the brain behind all the thievery. I was talking to you about PDS, for example, the PDS scandal. You know that as a result of our peaceful democratic transition in 2001, we qualified or we got this Millennium Challenge Compact with the United States of America. And they gave us some millions of dollars, which the Kufuor administration used for the N1 highway and other developmental projects. President Mills came to continue the implementation of that program, commissioned the N1 highway project, invited President Kufuor to that program and all that. And as a result of our successful management and implementation of that program, we qualified for Compact 2. So the Americans, again, decided to give us $490 million of their taxpayers' money to improve our power sector. Because at the time, you will recall that one of the biggest challenges we're grappling with was the Dumso power crisis. And so that $490 million under Compact 2, the power compact, was supposed to address that problem and ensure that we get stable power for industrialization. Because without stable power, you cannot industrialize your economy.
So I mean, we solved Dumso. In other words, Mahama solved Dumso proud to live in office.
Yeah.
But what we were getting the compact for, was it for generation again or for other?
It was specifically for the distribution sector. Because we had solved the generational problem by bringing in a Mary, a Mandy, car power. We had power in abundance, okay? Then, apart from that, we had also solved the problem of fuel. We're at first over-depending on Nigeria for gas.
From the West Africa pipeline.
Exactly.
Yep.
So this time around, we established the Ghana Gas Company and the Tuabo Gas Processing Plant, $1 billion investment under the Mills Mahama administration. And that saves this country, it saves Ghana over $300 million every year, because now we don't have to import gas from Nigeria. Again, we produce our own gas, okay, which we've been blessed with by God, you know, as part of our oil deposits. Now we also solve the financial problems, which were, if you like, crippling most of the state-owned enterprises in the power sector. What we call legacy debts. So government owed VRA, owed ECG, owed Gridco, and that was crippling those state-owned enterprises. And even the banks. And so we had to introduce the Energy Sector Levies Act, ESLA, to clear that. And since we introduced that, it has generated close to 40 billion Ghana cedis, and about 70% of that has gone to this Akufo-Addo government alone. Okay, now, so we dealt with Dumso, but ECG still had a problem. The management of ECG was not efficient. Okay, because we're not injecting the needed capital into the management. We're not procuring new equipment, new turbines and all that. And so there were still transmission issues. And so under the power compact, the Americans said, we are giving you $490 million, invest it in there and improve the state of ECG and your power transmission lines. In addition to that, get a private partner to take over the running of ECG, what we call a concessionaire, who will first of all invest in ECG and manage ECG. So we require a private partner who has the requisite technical and financial capacity to be able to turn ECG around. And so we started the process under the Mahama administration when we qualified for this $490 million. And we got the first part, which was the first tranche, which was $300 million. Now, President Akufo-Addo came and continued the process of selecting the concessionaire, and rather chose to give that to a company which was an amalgamation of his family and friends, called PDS. So PDS had TG Energy Solutions in there, which had 28%. They were giving 28% of the assets of ECG. The over 20 billion Ghana cedis assets of ECG. And you know who owns TG Energy Solutions?
No, who does?
Philip Ayunsu,
Okay.
the owner of S. Barbering Saloon at East Legon, Accra. He has no capacity in the power industry or power sector.
Right.
No financial muscle
What
whatsoever.
does the company do though? The TG Energy, proud to be in power.
It was hurriedly incorporated after the NPP
So
took
it
office.
didn't
So
have
they don't have any
any
track record,
track
nothing.
record. Wow.
Nothing. And so they got Dad, Santa Baron, and a few other NPP friends of President Akufo-Addo who were actually fronting for President Akufo-Addo. And they gave ECG to them. And the bank guarantee that Parliament has said that this company needed to provide as evidence of their financial capacity was amended into an insurance guarantee by Dr. Bawumia and Ken Ofori-Atta without following the dictates of the agreement. And even that insurance guarantee, which was submitted by the company, these NPP people, turned out to be fraudulent.
Wow.
Because the company which was said to have issued that guarantee, called Akut, based in Qatar, denied knowledge of that guarantee.
Interesting.
So people, NPP people, friends of President Akufo-Addo, his cronies, used a fraudulent guarantee to acquire the assets of ECG, managed it for 6 months, collected our electricity bills for over 6 months, totaling 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. Till date, they have not paid that 1.2 million Ghana cedis to the Ghanaian government. They've not paid it. They are still keeping it. They've pocketed the money. The electricity bills we pay to them.
Right.
Pay us back because you defrauded us. We've cut you pants down. So they said no. Right. And because of how we mismanaged the power company, the Americans said, look, you can take the $300 million we gave you, but the $190 million left, we are not giving you. That's equivalent to 10 billion Ghana cedis. We are not giving it to you. Aside that, we're going to give you Compact 3 after Compact 2, $500 million. That one too, we have cancelled it. Wow. Masla, imagine the good that these millions of US dollars that Americans were giving us could have done for the Ghanaian people if we had managed the power company. Yet because of corruption, that's how much we've lost. And so when we talk about corruption, and you see some of us very passionate, this is why we are passionate, because we are losing millions of monies which could have developed the country, created jobs, and improved the livelihoods of Ghanaians. Yet because of the selfishness and the greed of a few people, that's how much we are losing. Not just PDS. Look at Bost.
Yeah, I mean, you see the president talking about how he doesn't want to depend on the charities of other countries or the benevolence of other countries.
That's another political rhetoric, because you are borrowing for consumption, profligacy, and corruption. You will continue to be dependent on other countries. That is why you keep on borrowing. That is why you've gone, cap in hand, begging the IMF for relief. Either than that, because either than that, the economy is going to crash.
Because the scrutiny, compacts that you are referring to, the American compacts, the Millennium Challenge, is it the scrutiny those things attracts that makes it not attractive to the current government? Because what you're saying is they don't want charities and
no, it's not about that at all. It's not about that. I mean, as for they not warranting charities, it cannot be true, because the IMF gave them a grant of $100 million only last year. Did they reject it? They didn't. Last year, they went for a rapid credit facility of $1 billion. This year, they've gone for a budget support facility of $1 billion. They borrowed from the Bank of Ghana, but President Mahama never borrowed from the Bank of... And even Parliament approved 10 billion. They borrowed 20 billion, 100% increment. We never did that. So they are the most resourced. They are the luckiest. They've gotten far more than the Mahama administration got. What do they have to show? Nothing, because they've wasted all that money on corruption. And that is what I'm talking about. Bost, 5 million liters of oil as equivalent to 200 tankers of oil belonging to the people of Ghana were sold by President Akufo-Addo's government to unlicensed and unregistered entities called Moving Pina and Zoop Oil as scrap without going through the public procurement law. These companies didn't even have a license to participate in the downstream sector.
Interesting.
Yet, we sold this to them. Until date, they have not paid for the products. They pocketed the monies. Why? Because they are NPP functionaries. They pocketed the monies. And nobody has been held responsible. Nobody's being prosecuted. Nobody's being held to answer. Okay? And yet our people are not getting water to drink. People are sick. People are not getting beds in our hospital. Go to the Kolebu is choked to the brain. Konfanochi is choked to the brain. Hospital projects which were commenced by His Excellency President Mahama to improve access to quality health delivery have been abandoned by this government. And yet this is how they are wasting the taxpayers' money. Not just bust. Look at PPA, the Don't Call Me Contrast for Sales scandal, which was exposed by Manasseh Azuri when he was at Joy FM, where the Public Procurement Authority Chief Executive Officer called ABAJ, appointed by President Akufo-Addo, was caught on tape selling government contracts to a company he himself had formed with his brother-in-law called Talent Discovery Limited. And when they sell these government contracts to themselves, they don't even perform the jobs. And they pocket the monies. When Shraj investigated the matter, they published in their report that this man alone had in his bank account a whopping 34 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 340 billion old Ghana cedis, which he could not justify. He could not explain the source. Okay, till date. And yet he's not been prosecuted, he's not been arrested, he's still walking free.
Let me ask.
Look at the missing excavator scandal. 500 excavators seized from Ghanaians. Not all those who the excavators were seized from were even illegal miners. Some were legal, licensed, small-scale miners.
Like heritage that we've heard about.
Exactly.
Right.
And some have sued the government. 500 excavators stolen and sold.
Right.
Tricycles stolen and sold in the northern part of the country. And Bawumia's sister has been fingered there as well. Fertilizer meant for the planting for farmers under the Planting for Food and Jobs program, smuggled by NPP apparatchiks to Burkina Faso. And when they were caught, the Minister for Agri, can you believe this, insulted the people of this country, of Ghana, by saying that, oh, the fertilizer was stolen on the back of donkeys and camels, and so he could not question them. It is only in Ghana that the people will tolerate such nonsense from leaders who are paid by the taxpayer. Like I was saying, I can't say when you be monochrono. President Akufo-Addo, like I've said time and time again, has not built a single airport for the people of Ghana, not a market, not a school, not a hospital. Yet, the ones that were built by President Mahama are being captured left, right, center by his cronies and family relatives. That is how appalling the situation is in Ghana today. And because of time, let me just give you one example. Take, for example, Terminal 3. You go to Terminal 3 today, and the duty-free shop there has been captured by the daughter of President Akufo-Addo, Valerie Obaze. The CIP lounge there, which is the commercially important persons lounge, the VIP for businessmen and women, people in commerce, first of its kind, built by the visionary John Dramani Mahama, which is supposed to be a cash cow for the Ghana Airport Company Limited, has also been captured by the daughter of Seratu Atta, PA to President Akufo-Addo, and the wife of Nana Asante Bediatu, Femi Adetola. And you know, Asante Bediatu is President Akufo-Addo's cousin and executive secretary. Yes, they are Ghanaians, but were they awarded these spaces through competitive tender or through any transparent competitive selection process? No, they got it simply because their relative or their father is President Akufo-Addo. And that is what is going on in Ghana. Even the MPP people know that what I am saying is the truth, because they all are suffering. They know that it's just a few people
Who are enjoying.
just that family and friends cabal of President Akufo-Addo who are enjoying, whereas the vast majority of our people are suffering.
Right.
Even in this fight against COVID-19, that is what breaks my heart.
Right.
We've been hit by a pandemic, which is claiming lives all across the world. And all responsible governments are thinking about ways of stopping or slowing down the spread of the virus. They are thinking about procuring vaccines to protect their citizens. It's about lives, human lives, precious, irreplaceable human lives. That is what all responsible governments are doing. Yet President Akufo-Addo and his corrupt MPP government are only interested in how they can profit from the pandemic, how they can steal from the pandemic. Can you believe that a vaccine which is manufactured by the Russians and which sells on the international market at less than $10 was procured by the Akufo-Addo government, not through the appropriate authorized intermediary, but through a phony so-called Dubai sheikh called Sheikh Damouk at a price of $19 per dose, when the approved price is less than $10. And so this is how much they had inflated that deal. And here I'm talking about the Sputnik V vaccines, which were procured by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government few months ago. But for our vigilance, and here let me applaud our minority caucus, particularly our ranking member for health, Honorable Binta Kando, for the good job they did in exposing this rot. The people of Ghana would have lost a whopping $25 million from this transaction alone, because we have a president and a government who do not think about procuring vaccines to save lives, but they are thinking about what they can make on the procurement of those vaccines. They are thinking about profiting from the pandemic. They are thinking about profiting from medicine. And that, for me, is an unpardonable sacrilege for which this government must be punished. Now, apart from that, still on COVID and how they are stealing through this so-called fight, their so-called fight against the pandemic. Look at the COVID test regime at the Kotoka International Airport. I'm sure if you speak to anybody who has been to the country in recent time, the person will tell you how he was made to pay a whopping $150 for a rapid antigen test at the airport. $150. Even the PCR test, which is the golden standard when it comes to COVID test, is being done by Ghanaian indigenous laboratories in Ghana, like Medilab, Leiden, at $40 PCR test, which is far more expensive than the rapid antigen test than at the Kotoka International Airport. So how can you be doing rapid antigen test at $150? That's a ripoff. That's broad daylight thievery. It had to take ECOWAS, to force our government to reduce that to $50 for ECOWAS citizens alone. And by the way, ECOWAS citizens only constitute a fraction of the total number of passengers who travel through Terminal 3 or Kotoka International Airport every year. And so non-ECOWAS citizens who are in the majority are still paying that unconscionable $150 per rapid antigen test. It is not so in Nigeria. It is not so in Cote d'Ivoire. It is not so in Togo. Why is it so in Ghana? Because we have a president who is very corrupt, who, instead of resourcing state institutions like Noguchi to do this for free, like it's been done in other countries, Noguchi has the capacity. They have led our testing efforts since we were struck by COVID. And so all they needed to do was to give Noguchi the opportunity to set up laboratories there to do this job, which would have created jobs and would have strengthened Noguchi financially. But they used Noguchi and their scientists for the donkey job, and they chose to give this contract to Benedict Peters, a phony Nigerian man who is involved in money laundering, has been blacklisted by the Nigerian authorities, and who is friend of President Akufo-Addo and Rebecca Akufo-Addo. He is the one who owns Frontiers Health Services, the company which has been given that fraudulent contract. They gave them that contract without following the procurement law. They gave them that contract at the time they were not even licensed to engage in laboratory services in Ghana by HEFRA. They didn't have a license. Yet they gave them this contract and they are charging $150 to date. If these people are not thieves, my brother, tell me who they are. And still on COVID, I'm sure you've heard the latest, the hyper inflated COVID expenditures contained in the mid-year budget review for 2021, where government claims to have spent a whopping $100 million, equivalent to 600 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 6 trillion old Ghana cedis, on the procurement of just hand sanitizers, face masks, and Veronica buckets for a few thousands of secondary school children when they reopened school this year. They gave every secondary school child 3 face masks, the reusable ones, 1 sanitizer, and 3 Veronica buckets per school. That's all they bought. And they are telling us that in a country which has less than 1,000 secondary schools, they spent $100 million on that alone. What does that tell you? They are so corrupt, they are so shameless that they are even profiting from a pandemic without any thoughts, any regard for human lives, which is what is at stake. And that is why, for me, the 2024 election is a call to national duty. Enough of the petty politicking. It is no longer about NDC and NPP again. We all have to come together as a people and kick out these thieves, these crooks, because enough is enough. Enough of their intolerance, enough of the lawlessness and insecurity, enough of the culture of thuggery and impunity, which has been festering in the last 4.5 years under the watch of President Akufo-Addo. Enough of the waste, the profligacy, the corruption, the economic mismanagement, the insensitivity, the dishonesty, and the deception. We want a government that is visionary, a leader who is visionary and cares for the people, a leader who invests in the people, who invests in critical sectors, create jobs, and create prosperity not just for a few, but for all. That is the kind of leadership we want. And so whether you are MPP, CPP, PNC, and all that, we all need change. That is what we are all yearning for. That is why young people are talking about fix the country. That is why Trini Jonas is talking. And some of them have even become targets. They are being maligned. They are being bastardized. Their reputations are being attacked, by people who are being sponsored by President Akufo-Addo. You know, Hope Sinadoya is in USA currently. People like Kabua Papu, Usubempa, they are all in town, sponsored by the taxpayer. President Akufo-Addo was the one who flew them in because he was coming for this New York conference just to come and attack Ghanaian citizens who had gotten a permit to demonstrate, at the UN council meeting, and also attack people like Trini Jonas who operate from here. Kevin Tate. That is why they are here. Okay, today President Akufo-Addo is fighting corruption fighters instead of fighting corruption. He's fighting corruption fighters. That is why he has removed the Auditor General from office, Yawo Domelevo, who was fighting corruption head on. He's removed him from office. He's removed a special prosecutor. In fact, he had to resign because of the interference of President Akufo-Addo in his work. And he said, I will have nothing to do with that. Today, even CSOs are being targeted. Not too long ago, the president insulted CSOs. He called them politicians in CSO clothing, mindless and thoughtless people. A whole president attacking civil society. So he has lost the fight against corruption. He's lost it. And a lot of people today in Ghana are afraid. Even when they see people like us speaking up, they are scared for us and they are telling us to be careful because of the culture of silence which is fast creeping back into our democracy. But some of us are not doing this because of petty politics or because of any personal gain we stand to get. It is about Ghana. And we are ready to even sacrifice our lives for this cause because it is a cause we believe in. It is a cause which is in the interest of future generations and all of us, irrespective of our ethnic, religious, or political backgrounds. And that is why we must come together and work hard in 2024. Kick out this corrupt, nepotistic, insensitive, incompetent, greedy government and bring back a sensitive, caring, visionary government that will restore Ghana back to the path of development and true progress. That is what we need. We are at that tipping point. Okay, currently we are confronted with hydra-headed challenges in all spheres of our lives as a Ghanaian, as Ghanaians. But these are not challenges that are insurmountable. We can easily surmount and address these challenges. What is required is the right kind of leadership, the right kind of mindset, and the right kind of attitude. And I believe that we can do it. We can make Ghana a better place. We can transform Ghana into a community where people are treated equally, where there is equity, and where there are opportunities for people to realize their goals in life, like it pertains in advanced countries like the United States of America. We can together make Ghana like the United States of America. Don't tell me it's not possible. It is very possible. Others have done it, and we can do that with time, but with the right leadership, the right mindset, and the right attitude. And I think that we will get another golden opportunity on the 7th of December 2024 to make that change. So you may be listening to this program 2024, 7th December. That is when we're going to have that election. That is when we're going to have that opportunity. So you may be again here listening to me. You may be in Ghana. You may be in the diaspora. But we have a collective duty to God and country to make this change. We cannot afford another 4 more years under these crooks. They will destroy the country at all. They will destroy the country because we have been on a retrogressive trajectory in the last 4.5 years because of how they've mismanaged things. So let us come together. Let us speak to our relatives back home. Let us, put aside our political biases. Because like I said, it's no longer about NDC and NPP. It is about Ghana. And let us make the right decision come 7th December 2024. The decision that we can all look back and be proud of. The decision that can deliver that prosperous country where laws work, where the culture of impunity is nipped in the bud, where there are equal opportunities for all and not just one family. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Right before you leave, one more thing I found in the Economic Intelligence Country Report for August is that they are predicting that NDC would win the 2024 election. My question to you is, what is the party doing to prepare for that election? I heard the president says it is going to be do or die at the polling station. What does that translate to? What does it mean? What are some of the things that you are aware of?
It's all about preparing for the elections, making sure that from the beginning till the end, we are going to stay vigilant, extra vigilant, like never before. Make sure that the right things are done at the polling stations where elections are either won or lost. And make sure that through the process, from the polling station to the constituency coalition level, to the regional level, to the national level, every vote cast in favor of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC is duly counted, collated, and declared as such. We will not do anything to rig the elections. We will not do anything to cheat the NPP, like President Mahama said. And so we don't expect to be cheated. Let's all play fair. Let's all play by the rules. Because we need Ghana to remain peaceful and stable. And if we do not manage the next elections well, it can jeopardize that. And so let's play by the rules and let's play fair. Let's conduct that election peacefully. As an opposition party, we are determined to win power, not because we just want to win power, but because we want to rescue this country. So it's a rescue mission. And so like President Mahama said, it's going to be do or die, not because we are going to engage in any violence or any lawlessness or do anything to jeopardize the peace and stability of Ghana. It's going to be do or die, meaning that we are going to be extra vigilant to do everything it takes to protect the ballot, everything it takes to win the election. Of course, by operating within the remit of the law. That is what we are going to do. And so I would want to encourage all NDC supporters who are listening or who will have the opportunity to listen to this program later on to get their boots on. It's time to work, not just for the NDC, but for our country. And rescue our country, like I keep saying, from the clutches of this government. I believe that it is only the NDC that is in the position to rescue Ghana in 2024. No other political force has what it takes to win that election against this opponent, the NPP, a very vicious opponent. We have beaten them time and time again, and we are confident that we'll beat them in 2024 and bring about the change Ghanaians are yearning for.
Okay, so viewers and listeners, we've been privileged to have in our studios today the best political communicator in Ghana. He's told us a lot. He wants us to, if you are an NDC person listening, to put on your boots and work towards the fight to rescue Ghana from the current administration. Mr. Sammy, I want to take the opportunity to say a big thank you to you for making time for us. I know your schedule has been busy. I can see your phone has been blowing from the beginning of the interview to now. This has been very exclusive and we are grateful. Do you have any final words for my audience? Some of them are NDC USA chapter viewers who usually join me. Others are MPP who may be interested in some of the things you said. Like you said, you're speaking for Ghana, not only for NDC at this
Well, let me thank you first of all for this opportunity,
right,
and for building this platform to share information with Ghanaians from all walks of life, especially Ghanaians in the diaspora. You're doing a great job. We follow you a lot, and I can only encourage you to keep it up. Thank you very much for extending this invitation to me. I'm humbled for your kind words as well, and I'm grateful. I also want to express my profound gratitude to all those who have taken time out of their busy schedules to listen to this program or to watch this program on your various platforms. We doing this for the love that we have for our country. And so if I said anything that you're not happy with, forgive me. It's all about Ghana. We can always agree to disagree. That's the beauty of democracy. This is what I believe in strongly. Okay, this is what I'm passionate about. And if you disagree with me, I mean, that's fine. But if you agree with me, then I will encourage you to take interest in what is happening back home. Even though we know those of you in the diaspora here have very busy schedules, but make some time, follow what is happening back home, take interest, and look at how you can contribute to this change that some of us are calling for, because we need change in the political leadership of the country. See the role you can play and join us in the struggle for change, positive change. If you are desirous of joining the NDC, and in fact, I will encourage you to join the NDC US chapter if you are in the USA, or the NDC chapter in whichever country you may be in. I think that would be a great step, because then you are able to meet Ghanaians, like-minded Ghanaians, interact, socialize, plan, okay, and come together to do things for Ghana. But whether you agree with me or disagree with me, whether you are NDC or you are MPP, my last word to you is that keep the Ghana dream in your heart. Let Ghana come to your mind very often, okay? And let's not just wish for Ghana to be transformed, but let's work towards that transformation the best way we can. If it is a school you can support, because God has blessed you and you're in a position to do that, please do. If it is a community you can support with a borehole, please do. Anything you can do to help this transformational agenda, help improve lives, touch lives back home, if you have the capacity to do so, I will encourage you to do that. Let us keep Ghana close to our hearts, because it is all we've got. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama, really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT 1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT 1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yeah, people, so you've heard Sammy Gyamfi and his presentation. Please join me in saying a big thank you to him for sharing his view on all the topics that we table for discussion and all the questions I put to him. I think he did wonderful, and we are grateful. We've received so many messages, and we are unable to read all of them. But I wanted to say a big thank you all for taking your time off your busy schedule to watch this program. We are on every Saturday between 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. If you're in Ghana, that is between 6 p.m. GMT, which is the Greenwich Meridian time or the Ghana time, and to 8 p.m. Ghana time. So thanks again. And we will be back next week to digest and react to some of the things we've heard today. In the meantime, we're also working to bring also Ben Power of the MPP to studio. We are working hard on that, and when that is confirmed, I will get back and announce that, and we would have him talk to us. Thank you so much for watching the Ghana Agenda. My name is Safreda Muzu. If it is Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know it's Ghana Agenda time, and the conversations are going to be very interesting that you don't want to miss. Please share our link, invite other friends who may be interested, who may benefit from this program, to join us on a weekly basis for the last quarter of the year as we attempt to bring some of the most eloquent, most knowledgeable guests to discuss important issues concerning Ghana. Again, my name is Safreda Muzu. I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.